I think I have become less risky as a painter since I've started painting full time. It's impossible not to let, you know, the thought of sales influence your work. I mean, you know, I do my best not to. Really, the joy for me in this whole thing is the experimentation and doing things that are unusual. So back when I had a job that was supporting me and I was just making a little extra money as a painter, there was like a huge variety of subject matter that I painted. And I have found that it's become more narrow because, you know, it just, I have to sell a certain amount of work, and also I feel like I have an obligation to the galleries that I'm having shows at that the work sells as well. So that's definitely influenced things. And as I'm driving along thinking about going to this redwood forest, it's definitely making me think about, you know, getting back into that exploration, because that's what's really exciting about this whole process. Not sure if any of you guys have been in redwood forests or whatever, but I always feel like there is something very peaceful about like redwood forests. And an unusual thing about them is they're very open, almost like, I've heard people compare them to like a cathedral. It's just very open with this sort of filtered, beautiful light. And I have not been to this particular redwood forest in a very long time, so I can't even remember what it's like. But it's always a very relaxing, calming sort of place to be. And so, whereas like on the East Coast where I grew up, all the forests were very dense. And but in these, you can see for great distances, and it's kind of cool. But anyway, almost there, we'll check it out. Pretty remote out here. I mean, driving out on these country roads, it's like, man, there's no one out here. Hi, how's it going?
Good. Do you need a map?
Yeah, actually, sure, that'd be cool.
There you go.
Right on, thank you.
Good.
Okay, have a good one.
Good.
So they've got a big map over here, and so I'm looking at that to figure out which trail is going to be the best for potential paintings and also to see the redwood forests. So it's looking like, let's see, I'm going to park here, and it looks like this loop, this purple loop here, this one goes through redwood forest, but also this yellow one goes along a creek. And I think I remember doing that a long time ago, and this was kind of really pretty through here. Could be some potential paintings in that area as well. So I'm not sure how many acres this place is, but it's a big park, and there's like literally nobody here. I think I saw like 2 other cars. So I'm not sure what I would paint out here because everything is so dense, but it's just such a beautiful spot. Like I almost don't care. It's like I'll just set up and just give it a try. So I'm just kind of walking along this little creek here, and there's like maybe some reflections in the creek, and I can kind of show you what I'm looking at. As you can see, there's some, you know, some of the green is reflected in the water, but it could be a real challenge just trying to find a composition. So just kind of walking along this creek here, seeing if there's anything that looks like it could be a good painting. Views up above are just like these massive trees. It looks like I see a trail across the creek here, so maybe I'll go over and check that out. So most of the trees in this area are not old growth. I think most of that wood was milled back probably in the 1800s and shipped up to San Francisco for building the Victorian houses up there. In fact, my house, it was built in 1939, and it's like it's sided in completely in redwood, although it's painted white, but it's made out of redwood. So so these trees aren't as big, but I'll show you, they're still pretty tall. So these trees have got to be, you know, a couple 100 feet tall at least. Okay, so I think I'm going to head back to the first area there and just set up and see if I can find some sort of composition. But I'm thinking of doing a panorama of this creek here, and I'm not even really concerned with whether it turns out or not. It's just such a nice spot, and this is such new subject matter for me that, you know, I'm just going to give it a shot and see what happens. So I'm going to set up and give it a go. Okay, so this is definitely one of the nicest, like most pleasant painting experiences, despite the fact that the subject matter is really challenging. I don't think I've ever painted in a place that's been so peaceful and pleasant. So I'll definitely come back here. But anyway, let me show you what I got so far. The color shifts are very subtle, and so I'll let you see what I've got and we can talk about it. There's a lot of fallen trees in the background, and it's just mostly like this sort of dense, you know, foliage or whatever, like ferns and whatnot. So anyway, I'm just having fun, just trying to make something out of it. And I think this, you know, this right here, this fallen tree gives a little bit of interest and kind of leads the eye in. But then the problem is, like, where does it lead it? So anyhow, I'm just going to experiment and see what I come up with. It's kind of hard to film the process because I'm right on the bank of a creek here, so I can't really set up the camera. I'll show you what I mean. So here's my palette, and there's the creek. So we'll just check in periodically and I'll show you what's going on. Okay, so here's what I've come up with so far, and the colors seem to match pretty well. So this was a really good challenge, and I'm definitely coming back here. But anyway, I'm gonna pack up, we'll go home and take a look at it, see how it came out. Okay, so here's what I came up with. And I was mostly attracted to the water and sort of this rich rusty or orange color in the water, and then some of the reflections of the ferns. Also, this fallen log was kind of a point of interest. But primarily I was just trying to match the colors that I saw out there, and I had trouble trying to figure out a composition because there was just the information was so dense. It was kind of hard. I walked around for a while before finding a composition that I thought worked, or at least had potential. But I kind of like this, how the creek comes in at an angle and sort of into the foreground here. Also with this, this log falling, heading off in the other direction. But yeah, it's definitely a subject that I'm gonna have to explore more, because I just have never painted anything this sort of dense before. Okay, so it's back to frame building, but it was nice to get outside and pick up the brushes again. So thanks for coming along. Let me know what you think in the comments, as usual, and thanks to my new Patreon supporters, much appreciated. If you'd like to help support the channel, there's a link in the description to my Patreon account. But other than that, thanks for hanging out, guys. I'll see you in the next video.